Why are some acrylic pour techniques so hard? Or a better question, why do so many people struggle with certain acrylic pour techniques? The root of the problem lies in the number of variables that affect the outcome of the painting. A variable in this case refers to the part of the process that can be changed to get different results. Acrylic paint pours have some basic variables that are the same for all paint pours. Things like the paint used, the paint pouring medium used, what paint to pouring medium ratio you use, and if and how much water is added. The more variables you have, the harder it is to achieve a finish that is like the results you're looking for, because messing up a few of those variables has a dramatic effect on the outcome of the painting. A perfect example would be adding too much water. That is one variable, but a medium consistency paint acts much different than a thin paint. So that one variable change, while it can still give you a pretty result, will not give you the expected result. And therefore you aren't as pleased with your paintings as you would be if you got that variable of water content correct. Although I have had some very beautiful paintings from happy accidents with acrylic pouring. Because I like to break down my acrylic pouring problems in an analytical way, we are going to turn this into a numbers game. Don't worry, I'm not going to ask you to do any math. I will do it for you. This is a simplified list of variables for what I think is the easiest acrylic pour technique, the straight pour. Those variables are the paint we use, the pouring medium we use, if we use water, how we pour those paints in a cup, how high off of the painting surface we pour the paints out, how quickly we pour the paint out, and how we tilt that paint once it's on the painting surface. Now, each of these variables can be changed by increasing or decreasing in the case of paint, medium, and water, or by doing thinner or thicker layers, and by changing the order in which the colors are laid. Now, if I add a number for each of the different ways the paint can change, or their variables, I get 2, 2, 2, 3, 2, 2, 2. Now I assigned 3 to how you layer the paint because there's so much differentiation there with the number of paints that you have. Now if I multiply all of these together, you get 192. That means the complexity factor of this type of pour is 192. That seems high, doesn't it? Don't worry, right now we don't have anything to compare that number with. So we can't assess the relative difficulty of this technique until we do this same exercise for a different technique. Now let's take a pour that a lot of us have difficulty with, the Shelly Art Blooms. While this is an amazing acrylic pouring technique, it is also a very difficult one for many people, including me. Let me show you why. With our straight pour, we only had 7 variables to deal with. That all changes with the Shelly Art Blooms technique. Here are all the variables for blooms. Tube paint, medium A, medium B, my pigments, medium C, medium D, my cell activator, medium D, any additives I might put in, pillow paint, layering the paint, blowing out our paint, and spinning or tilting. If I do the same calculation I did for the straight pour, I get 12,228. These numbers are just relative difficulty, which means the straight pour is a 192, and the Shelly Art Blooms is 12,248. That is 64 times more difficult than the straight pour. Granted, this is a very simplified model to predict the difficulty of a pour. However, even with that being the case, it's no wonder so many people struggle with the Shelly Art Blooms and swipes technique. Every one of those variables needs to work together with one another to make sure that the results are in line with your expectations. Now, I am absolutely not telling you to give up, that it's hopeless. If a neophyte like myself can figure out how to do blooms, pretty much anyone can. However, starting out with the more difficult Shelly Art Blooms technique as one of the first techniques you learn is a long and uphill battle. My recommendation for anyone trying to learn acrylic pouring is to start with the basics of getting the right consistency and then working your way up because consistency is the key to perfecting acrylic pours. The quicker you master that lesson, the more exciting results you're going to get with your acrylic pour painting. I explain everything you need to know about getting the right consistency for your acrylic pour in this video here.